Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. I've been pondering recently survival as a concept, what it means to survive in an environment, what it means to thrive in an environment, but also think very critically associated with the environment that I'm in. I've done this in part because I have not re-engaged, but I've just realized that I've got a whole lot of metal up in the attic. And do I carve these little bits of metal into things? Do I do stuff with this metal in terms of actually moving it towards its conclusion? Or do I just enjoy being a schmuck, independent of these little bits of metal? I think in the Short Funk feed, there's a Short Funk associated with 80% paperweights. This is the kind of narrative that I'm talking about currently. And I wonder really who gives the permission associated with crossing certain divides, which seem to be sharply noted. In a variety of things, I've made the decision to cross these divides without even talking about it, without narrating it, choosing to do things independently of what I would wish to put out in audio form. And certainly, if you remember the podcast, this comes next. The last conversation was very much associated with surveillance and tracking, which I think is something that I'm very mindful of now that I've experienced discussions of the methods that are used in my very area to track electronic information that's presented. I wonder what this means in podcast terms. I wonder if I'm creating a narrative which is so perfectly suited to a surveillance state that the kind of information that I'd want to talk about here is already being gleaned off into some, byproduct of the surveillance state. And in this regard, I choose to narrate only certain things in these Short Funk recordings. But certainly what I find for people that listen to these Short Funk recordings regularly is that in between my little riddles, in between the little bits and pieces that I put out there, people might experience some information which ideally is collected over time. So in this light, I've reviewed the laws in California, I've reviewed the laws as they apply to me, and I've wondered very deeply whether now is the time to start learning a trade that I've long joked about, but a trade that may be very useful. I don't feel as nihilistic or as apocalyptic as I once did, and I think this is probably a very good emotion to rid oneself of in these times, particularly because summer is coming, the light levels are getting better, and if anything one should explore the outside with optimism now. And also reflecting in the neighbourhood, I've been asked to deliver flyers for an Easter parade. I'm currently a little under the weather, so the flyering request has not come at an ideal time. But this is very much the nature of what I do in the community. I facilitate things, oftentimes beyond my health, but a little bit less than folks in the community that walked kids to school so they wouldn't be harassed and recruited by gang members. And I reflect on that as being an image of the kind of pinnacle, I guess, that I want to reach to in terms of my role as a community member. So through all of this, survival is the thing that I'm reflecting upon, whether it's better to seek the outside world, seek the sunlight, do a bit more surviving through the summer, or whether I need to do more calm reflection, more analysis, and work on this a little bit more critically. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.